Welcome to the special recap edition of the Influential Personal Brand Podcast. I'm so excited that you got to meet like my mentor, one of my real early mentors and best friends. You can see how much love I've got for Dave. And, I hope if you haven't listened to the interview that you go listen to it. If you want to know anything about where I started and, how it began for me, began with Eric Chester and Dave Avrin. That's
the whole episode is basically just a bunch of bro love. From beginning to end, it's just both of them telling each other how much they love, admire, and respect, and how much they've learned from each other the whole episode.
And there's some takeaways. There's some takeaways.
But there's also a lot of bro love.
Yeah. Well, he's made a
I'm
big.
not hating on it.
I know. Well, and so I'll start with we're going to do our top 3 takeaways. And AJ came in with her glasses today, which I'm excited about.
Yes,
Talk nerdy to me, baby.
Too much screen time.
So one of the things that was a big kind of moment, just a reinforcement even for me to hear it again, was just this idea of like, do you love the delivery of speaking and teaching enough that you're willing to endure the prospecting part of it? Like, do you want it bad enough to figure out a way to do whatever you have to do to generate the business? Now that may mean that might mean you're the one that has to make the phone calls and send the emails. It might mean that you have to hire someone and pay them to do it. There's lots of things it could mean, but it means you got to figure out that part. And I've never met a speaker who was like, oh my gosh, my favorite thing in the world is to just spend my time getting gigs. Like, the reason you become a speaker is you want to be on stage, or you want to be live on the webinar. Like, you want to be in front of thousands of people, but there's this part that you have to do. And it's just the truth, the perspective of going, look, what you see on stage is not what the life of a speaker is. Mm-hmm. It's all the things. It's the people and the team and the processes behind the scenes.
Mine is kind of similar to that in a much more succinct version, but it's speaking is not the business. Getting the speaking gig is the business. And
that is a much better way of saying. That's a much more concise way.
I think we had the same point, but I'm not sure.
Yes.
But this, at Brand Builders Group, if you're a client of ours, or if you're just a listener, or follow us on social, or whatever it is, we kind of have this 13 phased, or 13 event process in 4 different phases. And we teach you how to craft a keynote, right? That's a part of what we do in our business. We also teach you the business of speaking, right? So there's 2 different topics that we cover. And I thought it was really interesting the way he said that, because there is so much of what we do. It's called what is it called?
World-class Keynote Craft is the, she doesn't teach that. World-class Keynote Craft is the event that I teach.
It's
the art of speaking.
And which is what so many people
are drawn to.
Right. And I loved what Dave said in the interview. He goes, I love how so many people tell you that you should be a speaker that have no idea what it's like to be a speaker. Like, you should go share your message. And it's like,
right.
I have no idea what they're talking about. That's actually what we teach and what we do in Full Keynote Calendar, which is the business of speaking. And that is so much of what I loved about this comment, is like, speaking is not the business. That is the art, right? It is not the business. It is getting the gig is the business. And that is like any other business out there. You have to have marketing. You have to have a team. You have to have staff. You have to have technology. I mean, it's not like anything else. I mean, it's the same. So I just thought that was really a nice, succinct way of saying what you were
a better way of saying it. Yeah, absolutely. But that's so 2 different versions of the same big takeaway.
All right. So my second point, so I'll go and then I'll lead in. I have no doubt they're probably similar. This was a very, very good interview for any of you who are like, okay, I want to start building up my speaking business. What are the, behind the scenes, behind the curtains?
How do I do it? Yeah.
So my second takeaway was this concept of you need to be systematic, methodical in your processes, but very personal in your outreach. Because we know so many people in the business of speaking where it's all about just put it out on social and do email blasts and just do mass mailings and do it all as efficiently but trying to be as effective as possible, but they have no staff. It's just them, or it's just one person. So they're really trying to do it as general and as mass as, as they can. And he's what's saying is like, no, be systematic and methodical in your processes, but be highly personalized in your outreach. And I thought that was a really good way
that's an interesting juxtaposition.
To sum up, it's like you can do things that are templated that still feel personal with a little bit of research, with a little bit of effort, with a little bit of like, let me pull this up, let me see. And my third point kind of goes into some of the things I took away, but I'm not going to share those now. But that was my second. It's like, you got to have a system and you need to be methodical with it, right? There needs to be clear checkpoints of do this, do this, do this. But then also take the time and effort to be personal in your outreach so it doesn't feel like another speaker that we're getting marketed to, right? I think that was really good.
Yeah. I think that really is a good dichotomy to understand and to be clear on. My second takeaway actually was different than that. It was a reminder of something that I struggled for so long in my career and I still struggle with today. And I think it's, in a word, it's being self-centered. Not being selfish, right? It's not about taking advantage of other people. It's just that you, as a speaker, it's so easy to approach the world through what you think and what you do and who you are. And, like what he said was, it's not about what you do. It's about what they get. And you don't tell people about who you are. Tell them about what you can do for them. And that applies both to your marketing and to when you're on stage, is that, it's probably safe to say that any speaker has some level of ego, some, fair level of ego involved in, just the idea of saying, hey, I should be on that stage in front of all these people. Like, they should be paying attention to me, which is good. You need some real confidence to do this, right, and pull it off. But at the same time, getting your mind switched to where it's like, it's not about you. It's not about even what you're passionate about. It's about connecting your passion to their problem. It's about connecting your expertise to what they're struggling with every day. And your marketing has to communicate that. Your salesperson, whoever, if it's you or it's an agent or somebody, they need to be able to connect your expertise to the problems. And then when you're on that stage in front of the audience, you need to be able to connect what you know and what you've studied into how people can apply it into their lives. And David told me this exercise, I think when I was 20 something years old, and it still to this day has stuck with me. When you write copy on your website, go through and highlight in one color everything that's about you, and then go through and highlight in another color everything that is written about your customer and your prospect. And you'll find that almost in every case, it's a speaker is talking all about themselves and who they are and how great they are and what they've done, and very little about the problem they solve and how they help organizations and who is a right fit for them to serve. And so that was just another great reminder of something I'd heard over and over that you just can't hear enough of.
You always know when Rory really likes something because he talks so loud. So
she's always coming at me for like yelling and stuff, which is part of why I got.
We're in this tiny little room, and he's right like 1 foot away from
I got banished.
Ear.
I got banished to the basement, by the way. I used to be upstairs, and I've been. At one point, AJ tried to banish me to the wilderness. When we were building our house, she was like, what do you think about putting your office out in the forest, which is, we live in like a little wooded area. And I was like, you're banishing me to the woods. We're not even moved in.
Really upset.
Yeah, it was bad. So anyways, I've been banished to the basement. So
but
this is you're in my yelling zone. Oh, yes, I'm excited. Okay, sorry. I'll talk like this.
Dave actually talked about something in the interview that I thought was really good. He said, if you think that you're going to get paid to get on stage and have some sort of cathartic experience, you're severely mistaken, right? When people say, gosh, you've got to share your message, or you got to tell your story, to some degree, it's like, no, you don't. It's how do they perceive your story that would benefit them? What can they learn from your message that would solve their problem? And so many people, and I think you've said this or you took it from somewhere, but it's like this concept of an I-focused story.
Oh, this is Craig Valentine.
With a you-focused message.
Tell an I-focused story.
I think that's really important because you can tell your story, but it still has to resonate with the audience. Thought that was really good. That's not my third point. My third point.
Well, that was a bonus tag on to my point. That was really similar. But yeah, that's Craig Valentine, y'all, 1999 world champion of public speaking, tell an I-focused story with a you-focused message.
Okay, my last point. And it's a combination of something that Rory said and something that Dave said. And I just kind of put it together and I thought it was really good. Is that speaking, being a keynote speaker, right? Being a professional speaker is one of the best jobs on the planet.
Amen.
However, it is not a good business model because it's not automated. It's not evergreen. It's not digital. It's not recurring, and it's not scalable.
Limited inventory.
It's very limited, and it's you on an airplane a lot. It's you away from your family a lot. However, speaking is one of the best ways of marketing your business. So let me say that all again. I thought this was really good. It's like being a speaker is one of the best jobs on the planet for you for a finite amount of time, but it's one of the worst business models in terms of growing and scaling something, but it's one of the best ways of marketing a business.
Paid marketing. You get paid to market.
And I think that's really good. And I think for all of you out there who are like, I want to be a speaker and I want to scale my speaking business, you also have to be asking yourself, what's my back end?
Yeah, if you want to build a business. Otherwise, you have a job and you'll go plane to plane to plane.
At some point, age 70, 80, whatever, you're not going to want to do that. Or your wife isn't, or your kids aren't. Like at some point, you don't want to be gone 200 days a year, right? Yeah, unless you're living the
some people do
single life, living la vida loca.
Well, I mean, some people do.
That's totally fine. But I would bet for most of you out there where this seems like a passion, and I loved, and this is the last thing I'll say, he said, just remember, like, speaking is my job. It is not my passion. And he said, my passion is my family. That I'm not saying that it has to be yours, but speaking is my job. It's not my passion. So is speaking a job for you, or is it your passion? And what does that look like in terms of growth and scale and money? And I just thought that was really good.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. It's a job. It's a great job, not a great business. Now you can, like any job, you can work a job for your whole career and make enough money and then retire, and that's what you do.
Plenty of 7-figure speakers.
Yeah.
You can make tons of money.
Yeah.
It's
just know that on the front end, like you're saying, is like, that's not going to be the way that you scale a huge business.
All right, what's your last one?
So my last one is actually, it's an AJ-ism, honestly. It's from you. And there was something that Dave said that, a lot of things he said that really reminded me of, I think, a philosophy that you carry that I've always admired, that I have also found to be true, that I think you believe and you practice really well, which is that everyone becomes a customer eventually. Like, if you stay in touch, like, they may not book you this year, they may not book us next year, but they're gonna, if you treat them well and you care about them and you stay in front of them and you just follow up with them, everyone buys eventually. And I think that is something that, he was saying that just really reminded me of, just like, yeah, you got to have a process here, a system, and stay in touch. And just, especially in the speaking world, I feel like, if you get really good, like, if you're following the brand builder journey stuff and like you're doing the things we're telling you to do in terms of crafting your positioning and building your marketing and all that sort of stuff, at some point you're going to be really good. And once you become really, really good, if you're not already,
some of you
some of you already are already. I mean, we can all get better. We can all get better. But when you're really, really good, these meeting planners and companies, they need to hire you. They have to book somebody. And at some point, if you're really good, they're going to go with you. If you've stayed in touch with them for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, like at some point, it's just timing.
But that's with any good business model, right? You provide enough value and have a good long-term follow-up strategy.
And reputation, long-term reputation.
It's, I have this concept, which I guess what you're referring to is, it's not no, it's just not right now. That is my philosophic belief with all customers, with all prospects who don't buy. It's not no, it's just not right now. And so I'm, again, consolidating that.
She's concisifying. She's concisifying me.
Oh, yes.
She's
But that's
concisifying
really,
me.
yeah, it's true. It's like you got to have a strategic and methodical plan. When Dave talked a lot about that and gave lots of tips. Like if you want to build a speaking business, you need to go and listen to the interview of somebody who truly is doing it for the long haul. He's had a very consistent and sustainable speaking business for 20 years. And he gives a lot of tips away. So you really do need to go check out the interview. We're pulling out some of the things that we took away, but there's so much that we did not cover here.
Yep. Very methodical process. And I would also say, you know, in a world of virtual keynotes, all of this still applies, if not even more. And yeah, so go check out the interview, get to meet one of my best buddies, Dave Avrin. Thanks for listening to AJ and I banter and hopefully share some highlights that are useful for you. We love you. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.